Ethan Clarke had flown many missions before, but none like this. The planet Lythera lay at the edge of explored space, and the humans had very little knowledge about it. They only knew it was home to an intelligent alien race with a queen and a princess who held great power. His job was simple on paper: make contact, observe, and report. But Ethan had a feeling it would not be simple at all. The spaceship's engines hummed quietly as it descended through the purple clouds of Lythera's atmosphere. From his small window, Ethan could see enormous mountains, glowing faintly with bioluminescent moss, and rivers that shimmered under a pale green light. The planet seemed alive, almost magical. He tightened his seatbelt, thinking about the stories he had read about alien civilizations. Nothing, however, had prepared him for this moment. When the ship landed in a smooth clearing near a crystalline palace, Ethan stepped out and felt a strange breeze touch his skin. The air smelled different from Earth: fresh, sweet, and faintly metallic. Alien guards in sleek silver armor approached silently. Their eyes were dark, almost black, but they held a quiet intelligence that made Ethan pause. "Greetings, human," one of the guards said. His voice was calm, measured, but carried authority. "I am Kellen. You will follow us to the royal palace." Ethan nodded and followed. The path to the palace was lined with strange plants that moved slightly as he passed. The leaves opened and closed, and soft lights glowed from the flowers. He had seen many strange things in space, but this felt almost alive. The palace itself towered above him, made of crystal that reflected the soft light of Lythera's 2 moons. The architecture was unlike anything he had ever imagined, organic and delicate, yet strong and imposing. Inside, the palace was quiet. The floors were smooth and pale, and the walls glimmered like water in sunlight. Soft sounds, almost like singing, filled the air, but no one could be seen. Ethan followed the guards through wide hallways until they reached a large chamber. There, standing at the center, was Princess Arya. She was unlike any being he had seen. Her hair shimmered like silver threads. Her eyes glowed faintly like the planet's moons, and her skin had a soft, golden hue. She looked both strong and delicate at the same time. Arya's gaze met Ethan's directly, and he felt a strange warmth in his chest. "You are the human they sent?" she asked softly. Her voice was musical but firm. "Yes," Ethan said, trying to sound confident. "I am Ethan Clarke. I have been sent to observe and learn about your world." Arya nodded slowly. "Observation is only part of our knowledge. I am more interested in understanding you." Ethan blinked. He had expected formality, maybe polite questions, but this was direct, personal. "Understand me?" he repeated. "Yes," she said simply. "Humans are fascinating. You survive in dangerous situations with courage and determination. I want to know why." Ethan felt slightly embarrassed. People rarely called him courageous. He was a pilot, not a hero. "I guess humans have to be brave. We have no choice," he said. Arya tilted her head slightly, as if considering his answer. "No choice can reveal the true heart. I will learn from you, human. Perhaps you will teach me what it means to be fearless." The words made Ethan feel uneasy but also intrigued. He had faced dangerous missions before, but facing someone who could see into his mind almost was different. He nodded, unsure how to respond. Over the next few days, Ethan was allowed to explore parts of the palace under Arya's supervision. She showed him the gardens, which were filled with plants that glowed faintly at night. Rivers ran with water that sparkled in colors he could not name. Strange creatures moved through the air, some with wings, some with long flowing tails. Arya walked beside him calmly, explaining the habits of each species. "You see, Ethan, Lythera thrives because of balance," she said one evening, watching small creatures gather glowing seeds. "Every living thing has a purpose, and every action matters. Humans, you are similar, but your kind often disrupts balance. Yet some of you, like you, learn to survive without breaking it. Ethan thought about this. Humans were far from perfect. Wars, mistakes, greed, he had seen it all. Yet he had survived and learned, and maybe that was what she meant. I guess survival teaches lessons, he said. Arya smiled faintly, her glowing eyes reflecting the light of the twin moons outside. Yes, survival teaches, but courage defines. You have courage, Ethan Clarke. That is rare. The praise made him uncomfortable, yet he could not deny it felt good. Thank you, Princess Arya, he said quietly. As the days passed, Ethan noticed small things about Arya. She was curious, but not childish. She observed everything, from how humans held objects to how they walked. She asked questions about Earth, not just geography or culture, but feelings, emotions, and choices. One afternoon, they walked near a crystal waterfall. The water fell in long silver streams that glowed faintly. Ethan could feel the strange warmth of the planet, the way the air seemed to hum softly. Arya turned to him suddenly, her glowing eyes serious. Ethan, she said, why do humans value life so much? On Earth, you fight, you die, yet you protect each other. Why? Ender. Ethan paused, thinking. Maybe because life is all we have. We can't control everything, but we can choose to protect what matters. Arya considered this. I see. That is courage as well, yes? Yes, he said. I think so. For a moment, silence fell between them. The only sound was the waterfall and the faint hum of Lythera's night. Ethan felt a strange connection with Arya, unlike anything he had felt with anyone before. She was not just curious about humans. She seemed to want to understand him, to see the world as he saw it. That night, in his quarters, Ethan could not sleep. The beauty of Lythera, the grace of the princess, and the warmth of her presence lingered in his mind. He had been trained to remain calm in any situation, but here, far from home, with a princess who watched him with glowing eyes, he felt something new, something powerful and unsettling. The next morning, Arya visited him again. She did not bring guards or assistants. She simply stood at the doorway, her hair glowing faintly in the soft light. Ethan, she said, do you think humans can understand aliens completely? End quote. I don't know, Ethan replied honestly. I think we can try. We can learn a lot. But some things might always be different. Arya nodded slowly. That is what I feel with you. Different, yet capable of understanding. That is why I am curious. That is why I want to know more about you. Ethan felt a flutter in his chest, a mix of fear and excitement. He had faced alien worlds, hostile forces, and dangerous missions, but nothing had made his heart race like this. He realized he was not just observing Lythera or Arya. He was part of something bigger, something new. In the days that followed, their conversations became more personal. Arya asked about his family, his childhood, and why humans fought wars despite knowing the cost. Ethan spoke openly, sharing his experiences, his mistakes, and his hopes. Arya listened carefully, sometimes nodding, sometimes silent, but always with her glowing eyes fixed on him. One evening, under the twin moons, Arya turned to him and said something he did not expect. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Ethan, will you stay here? Not just as a guest, but with me? Ethan froze. He had expected diplomacy, observation, and maybe friendship. But this was different. The princess, the daughter of Lythera, was asking him to remain. To choose a life among aliens, a life that could change everything he knew. His mind raced, but his heart felt strangely calm. I don't know, he said honestly. I've never thought about living somewhere like this. Arya smiled faintly. I know. That is why I am asking. You do not need to answer yet. Just think, human. Think about courage. Think about choice. Ethan nodded slowly. He realized that whatever choice he made, nothing would ever be the same again. Lythera was beautiful, dangerous, and alive. And Princess Arya, mysterious, strong, and intelligent, had touched something deep inside him. As he watched her leave, Ethan felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. The mission had begun as a simple observation, but already it had changed him. He did not yet understand the full weight of what was to come, but he knew one thing. His life on Lythera had only just begun. Ethan woke early the next morning, his mind still filled with thoughts of Princess Arya. Her question from the night before lingered in his thoughts. Stay here? With her? He shook his head, trying to focus on the mission. He reminded himself he was sent to observe, to learn, and to report. Yet, every part of him wanted to understand her, to be near her, to know more about Lythera and its people. When he stepped out into the palace gardens, Arya was already there. The twin moons were low in the sky, casting soft silver light across the glowing flowers. Ethan felt a calmness wash over him. It was as if the entire planet was waiting quietly, watching. Good morning, Ethan, Arya said softly. Her silver hair shimmered in the moonlight. Good morning, Princess, he replied. You're awake early. I like mornings, she said simply. The air is fresh, and the light is honest. It tells the truth about everything. Ethan nodded. He had learned already that Arya often spoke in ways that made him think. Sometimes, her words were simple, but their meaning was deeper than he could immediately understand. She motioned for him to follow, and they walked through the gardens. Strange plants leaned toward them, their leaves glowing brighter as they passed. Small animals, with transparent wings and glowing eyes, hovered around, unafraid of Ethan. He smiled at the sight. Even after traveling across the galaxy, the beauty of this place amazed him. Do humans have gardens like this? Arya asked suddenly. Not really, Ethan said. We have parks, trees, and flowers, but they don't glow, and animals usually run away from strangers. Arya tilted her head slightly. So, your creatures are fearful. Lythera teaches trust. Even the smallest life matters. You, humans, you do not always understand that, yes? I guess not, Ethan admitted. We are strong, but sometimes we forget about the little things. We focus on survival, on fighting, on progress. We don't always notice the quiet beauty. Arya smiled faintly, and for a moment, Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. It was not fear, nor excitement, but something new, like the feeling of being understood. She spoke gently, her voice carrying a strange power. You understand quickly, human, she said. That is why I am curious about you. Humans have courage, but they also have hearts. You are different from what my people expected. Ethan looked at her carefully. Different how? Strong, yet soft. Brave, yet caring. You survive, yet you notice beauty. Few humans do this. Most focus on themselves, or on survival alone. You notice. Ethan did not know how to respond. He had never thought of himself as special. He was just a pilot, trained to do his job. But Princess Arya, with her glowing eyes and calm presence, made him feel seen. They walked further into the gardens until they reached a small pool. The water shimmered with colors he could not name. He knelt by the edge to look closer, and small, glowing fish swam near his fingers. Arya knelt beside him, her hand resting lightly on the edge of the pool. Lythera is beautiful, but it can be dangerous, she said softly. Not all creatures are friendly. Not all humans are wise. But, Ethan nodded. I understand. Every world has danger. We just learn to survive. As best we can. Arya turned to him, her eyes bright. And that is why you are interesting. You survive without destroying everything. You learn without taking more than needed. That is rare. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Her praise was quiet but meaningful. He wanted to say something, but the words did not come. He had faced storms, space battles, and alien creatures, but nothing had ever made his heart race like this, like being noticed and understood by Princess Arya. Over the next few days, their time together became more personal. Arya showed Ethan the palace library, which contained floating books that glimmered with soft light. She taught him about Lythera's history, its people, and their traditions. He learned that the Lytherans were highly intelligent, deeply connected to nature, and that their culture valued wisdom and courage over strength. One afternoon, as they walked through a hall lined with crystals, Arya stopped suddenly. Ethan, tell me about your home, she said. Not the world, but your life. What makes you who you are? Ethan hesitated. He had shared bits and pieces before, but this felt different. I grew up in a small town on Earth. My family, they were simple, honest people. They taught me to work hard, to be fair, and to help others. I became a pilot because I wanted to explore, to see what was beyond my world. I wanted to understand, like you try to understand me. Arya's eyes glowed softly as she listened. And what do you hope for, Ethan Clarke? What is your dream? He thought for a moment. I want to protect people. I want to make a difference, even if it's small. I want to leave the world a little better than I found it. That is admirable, she said quietly. Most humans are not like that. You are rare. That is why I trust you. Ethan felt a strange heat rise to his cheeks. Trust from a princess, an alien princess, was not something he had expected. I will do my best, he said honestly. Days passed, and the bond between Ethan and Arya grew. They shared meals in the palace, watched Lythera's twin moons rise together, and talked late into the night. Ethan began to see the depth of Arya's wisdom. She was kind, yet strong, curious, yet careful. Her people relied on her judgment, and yet she sought understanding from him, a human. One evening, as they walked along a balcony overlooking glowing forests, Arya spoke softly. Ethan, do humans ever think about love? Not just affection, but a bond that lasts a lifetime? Ethan stopped and looked at her. The question was simple, yet heavy. Yes. I think love is rare, but it is real. It gives people strength, and sometimes courage they did not know they had. Arya smiled faintly. I see. That is why I watch you. You are brave, yet your heart is open. That combination is unusual. That is why I want to know you more. Ethan's mind raced. He had come to Lythera to observe and report, but now he realized he was learning about himself as well. He had never felt such a connection with anyone, human or alien. Arya was not just a princess. She was intelligent, curious, and somehow patient with him. The next day, Ethan and Arya explored a hidden part of the palace, a garden that glowed with soft pink light. The plants here were taller, their leaves wide and shimmering. Strange birds with translucent feathers hovered in the air, singing soft melodies. Ethan felt as if he had stepped into another world entirely. Lythera is alive, he said quietly. Arya nodded. Everything here has life, Ethan. Even the stones, the air, the water. Life is sacred. It must be protected. That is why my people survive. Ethan watched her closely. She seemed to carry the weight of her world in her gaze. Yet there was kindness and curiosity too. You carry a lot of responsibility, he said softly. Yes, she admitted. But I also carry hope. Hope that the right choices will be made. Hope that courage and love will guide us. Ethan felt a deep respect for her. She was not just a princess in title. She was a leader, a protector, and someone who thought deeply about the future of her people. Yet she had chosen to spend time with him, a human. That thought both honored and frightened him. Later that night, Ethan sat by the palace window, looking at the twin moons. He thought about Arya, her glowing eyes, her calm voice, and her quiet wisdom. He realized he had begun to care for her, not just as a person, but as someone important to him, someone he wanted to understand and protect. When he returned to his room, a soft knock came at the door. Arya entered quietly, her silver hair glowing in the moonlight. She held a small crystal in her hand, one that pulsed with soft light. I wanted you to see this, she said gently. She placed it on the table. The crystal showed images of Lythera, its forests, mountains, and creatures moving like a living painting. It's beautiful, Ethan said, amazed. Yes, she said, and it must be protected. Just as we must protect what we care for. Ethan, you understand courage and life. That is why I am glad you are here. That is why I hope you will stay. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Her words were not just a suggestion, they were an invitation. An invitation to be part of a world he barely knew. A world filled with beauty, responsibility, and a princess who trusted him. He wanted to answer, to say yes, but he knew it was more complicated than that. His mission, his home, and the unknown dangers of Lythera made the choice heavy. Yet something deep inside him knew he wanted to stay, to learn, to protect, and perhaps, to love. Arya's glowing eyes met his, and for the first time, Ethan felt that his presence mattered not as a human observer, but as someone important, someone chosen. The bond they shared was quiet, yet powerful. He could not yet understand where it would lead, but he knew his life on Lythera had changed forever. As Arya left the room, Ethan sat in silence, thinking about the days ahead. The gardens, the palace, the glowing creatures, and the princess herself had opened a door to a world he had never imagined. He did not yet know what choices he would make, but he knew one thing. His heart and mind were no longer his alone. Lythera and Princess Arya had claimed a part of him. And for the first time in his life, Ethan Clarke felt that being brave might mean more than surviving. It might mean giving his heart to a world he did not yet fully understand. Ethan woke early again. Though he had not slept well, the words Arya had spoken the night before lingered in his mind. She wanted him to stay. She wanted him to be part of her world. He could feel a growing tension inside him, a mix of excitement and fear. He had never faced a situation like this. He was used to danger from space, from enemies, from the unknown. But this was different. When he went to the garden, Arya was already there. The twin moons cast pale light over the glowing plants. Ethan could hear soft music from the flowers, as if the planet itself was alive. Arya turned to him with a smile that seemed softer than usual. Good morning, Ethan, she said. Her voice carried a warmth that made his chest tighten. Good morning, Princess, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Yes, she said simply. There is much to see, much to learn. And you are not like the others. I want to understand your kind. Human. Ethan nodded. though he did not know how to respond. He had spent days with her, walked in the gardens, learned about Lythra, and yet he still felt as if he had only scratched the surface of who she was. Her words, her gaze, her presence, they were like a quiet current pulling him in. They walked together through a part of the garden he had not seen before. The plants here were taller and more vibrant, with petals that changed colors in the moonlight. Strange insects with glowing wings danced around them, and the air was filled with a soft humming sound. Ethan had never seen anything like it. "Ethan," Arya said suddenly, stopping near a small crystal pond. "Tell me about your dreams. Not your mission or your duty, but your dreams. What do you hope for?" Ethan looked at the pond, its water reflecting the glow of the flowers and the twin moons. He took a deep breath. I hope to protect people. I hope to do what is right, even when it is hard. I hope to see the world, to understand it, and maybe, to make it better." Arya listened carefully, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "That is why I am drawn to you," she said softly. "You see the world as it could be, not just as it is. You have courage and heart, and that is rare." Ethan felt his face warm. He was not used to such praise, especially from someone like Arya. He wanted to say something, to tell her he felt the same, but the words seemed too heavy, too important. Instead, he nodded quietly. They spent the day exploring the palace further. Arya showed him secret halls, rooms filled with glowing crystals, and balconies overlooking vast forests. She explained the history of her people, their struggles, and their victories. Ethan listened, fascinated by her knowledge and insight. He realized that Arya was not just a princess in name, she was a leader, a thinker, and someone who carried the weight of her world with grace. In the evening, they returned to the garden. The twin moons were higher in the sky, and the glowing plants cast soft shadows on the ground. Ethan felt a strange mix of calm and anticipation. He had grown used to Arya's presence, but today, something felt different. "Ethan," Arya said, her voice barely above a whisper, "do humans ever feel responsible for the future? For more than just themselves?" Ethan looked at her, unsure what she meant. "Yes, sometimes. We try to protect what matters, even if it is difficult. Sometimes it is family, sometimes a city, sometimes an entire world." Arya nodded slowly. "That is what I feel. My people, my world. I cannot ignore the future. Every choice I make matters. But there is something else. Something I cannot explain fully." Ethan watched her carefully. Her glowing eyes were filled with a mixture of emotion, hope, fear, and something deeper, something he could not yet name. "What is it?" he asked gently. Arya took a deep breath. She stepped closer, and for a moment, Ethan could feel the warmth of her presence more strongly than ever. "Ethan, you are human. You are not of Lythera. And yet, I trust you. I believe in your courage, your heart, and your mind. That is why I ask this of you." Ethan's heart began to race. He did not know what she was going to ask, but he could sense the weight of her words. Arya looked at him directly, her glowing eyes filled with intensity. "Ethan, will you be my children's father?" Ethan froze. The words hit him like a lightning bolt. He could not move, could not speak. His mind raced, trying to comprehend what she had just said. Children? Father? Human? He had come to Lythera as an observer, as a pilot. He had never imagined being asked to take on a role like this. "Ethan," Arya whispered again, her voice soft, almost desperate. "Will you?" He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. His mind spun with questions and fear. How could he even consider such a thing? He barely understood Lythera, barely understood Arya, and yet, She was asking him to be part of the future of her people. Arya waited silently, her eyes never leaving his. She did not force him, did not argue. She only waited, her trust absolute, her hope clear. Ethan felt the weight of her gaze, the depth of her trust, and the enormity of the choice before him. He wanted to say yes, to tell her that he would do anything to protect her, to be with her, to take part in her world. But fear held him back. He thought of Earth, of his past, of the unknown dangers of Lythra. Could he really take on such responsibility? Could a human like him truly become part of an alien future? He began, but his voice trembled. He could not continue. The words seemed too small for the moment, too weak for the question. Arya's glowing eyes filled with understanding, but also with a quiet sadness. "You do not need to answer yet," she said softly. "I know this is heavy. I only wanted you to know that I believe in you. That is all. Think carefully, Ethan. Think about courage. Think about the future." Ethan nodded slowly, still frozen in place. He watched her leave the garden, her silver hair glowing softly in the moonlight. The words she had spoken echoed in his mind, repeating over and over. "Will you be my children's father?" He could not shake them, could not ignore them. For the rest of the night, he sat by his window, staring at the twin moons. He thought about Arya, about Lythra, and about the impossible choice she had given him. His mission had begun as a simple observation, but now it had become something far greater, something that could change not only his life, but the life of an entire civilization. The next morning, Ethan walked through the palace corridors, trying to clear his mind. Guards and servants passed by, but he barely noticed them. His thoughts were consumed by Arya, by her trust. When he entered the garden, Arya was already there. She greeted him with a small smile, as if she knew he had been thinking about her words all night. "Good morning, Ethan," she said softly. "Good morning," he replied quietly. He wanted to say something, to tell her how he felt, but he could not. The weight of her question still pressed on him, heavy and real. They walked together in silence for a while, the glowing plants lighting their path. Ethan tried to focus on the beauty around him, on the soft hum of the planet, but his mind kept returning to her words. Children, father, trust, courage. He had never faced a decision like this. "Ethan," Arya said suddenly, breaking the silence, "I know this is not simple. I know it may frighten you, but I also know that you have the heart to consider it carefully. That is why I asked you." Ethan looked at her, her glowing eyes filled with hope and understanding. He could see the depth of her belief in him, the quiet trust she placed in a human being. It was overwhelming, yet also inspiring. I need time," he said finally, his voice low. "This is more than I ever expected." Arya nodded, her expression calm. "I know. Take all the time you need. But remember, courage is not just about facing danger. Sometimes it is about accepting the responsibility to protect, to love, and to choose." Ethan nodded again, feeling a strange mix of fear and determination. He did not yet know what he would choose, but he knew one thing. His life on Lythra, and with Arya, had changed forever. He could no longer think of himself as just a pilot or an observer. He was part of something bigger now, something that required courage in a way he had never imagined. As the twin moons rose higher in the sky, Ethan Clarke made a silent promise to himself. He would think, he would learn, and he would face whatever came next. The princess had given him a choice unlike any he had ever known, and he would meet it with the courage he had learned on Earth and the respect he now felt for Lythra and its people. And somewhere deep in his heart, he knew that whatever he decided, his bond with Arya would shape not only his life, but the future of two worlds.